Welcome to our 75th anniversary celebration. We hold this event every year as our annual membership meeting. But in this very special milestone year, we changed the tone, the venue, and the title for this gathering and made it a celebration. We also made a very, very important decision to provide you an open bar. And we have an unprecedented turnout for this event, representing over 1/3 of our current members and supporters, but we are so very glad that you're here. We're not only here to celebrate our 75th, but to thank all of you for your long-term and generous support over the years as the preservation movement has changed and evolved. I think this record crowd here today speaks to the fact that the Landmark Society is important and interesting to you, that the Landmark Society is relevant in the preservation arena in Western New York, and that you recognize the important role that preservation plays in the communities where you live and where you work. But in addition to your excitement about preservation movement and progress, and the free food and booze, I know that figured into it, I know your interest is inspired by the current direction of our committed and talented staff and the focused, visionary leadership of our Executive Director, Wayne Goodman. And with that, I'd like to introduce Wayne.
Thanks, Mary. And I haven't had an opportunity to take advantage of the open bar yet, but after this, the bar is mine. I wanted to start out by thanking a few people. I want to thank Constellation Brands for sponsoring our annual meeting, and in addition, I want to also give a special thanks to Hugh and Mary Claire Hamlin, Jerry Ludwig, Sarah Rockwell, and Steve Jordan. There's Steve. These individuals chipped in to make this party a reality. Also Susan and Frank Krigo, who are the chairs of our 75th celebration committee. Special thanks to Gap and Joan and Artisan Works, who've been really easy to work with and have provided wonderful services. Special thank you to the people and businesses who've contributed to our silent auction, which is going to close at about 7 o'clock. So bid quickly, aggressively, and generously to our silent auction. At this point, I want to acknowledge the staff of the Landmark Society. They're one of the best preservation teams, I believe, in the country. And I see them every day in action. And I know their dedication and their passion, and I know that you'll join me in telling them just how very much appreciated the staff here at the Landmark Society is. Our board of, oh yes, absolutely, thanks. Our board of trustees, a special thank you to all of them. It's been a time of transition with the Landmark Society and preservation in general, and it continues to be, but their support is absolutely critical. Thanks to all of our committee members, our volunteers, and our members and our donors. But there's a person I want to really point out, and that's our board president, Mary Nicosia. Mary's been instrumental in providing board leadership in what's been a very, very critical time for the Landmark Society. And time after time, obstacle after obstacle, Mary shows her poise, her ability to provide sound leadership, and I really appreciate that. And I look forward to working with Mary this coming year, so thanks, Mary. And as always, I want to thank my lovely wife, Angie, here for being patient. She came to Rochester sometime after I arrived in Rochester, almost 2 years ago now, and she's fully embraced the community, and she started volunteering with a number of community services, And I think you can almost drive around Rochester without a GPS now too, so you're making good headway. So tonight, 75 years. And that's pretty special. And for me, as the director of such an organization, it's very humbling. And I know that there's one director here, Henry McCartney. I think we may want to acknowledge Henry, who was a longtime executive director. There you are, Henry, thanks. So this is quite an achievement. And although my schedule at times gets incredibly hectic, I often think about the founders of the organization. A group of people that had a vision that was far, far ahead of almost every other region in the country. I think about our former trustees, all of their time, their expertise, and their money. I think of our donors, our members, for 75 straight years, all the staff. And then I think of all the current trustees, our current staff members, our current donors. And it doesn't take me long to realize the gravity of the situation that we're in today. And it's something that I take very seriously. Having such a proud and successful past automatically sets the standard high for the future. And we at the Landmark Society of Western New York have been a nationwide leader in historic preservation for 75 years. And that is exactly what we intend to be for the next 75 years. Today's world is far different than that of 1937 when those founders started our organization. We've adapted time and time again. We're going to continue to adapt to a world that has changing needs. But there's some things that never change. An organization cannot be successful without members, without contributors, without professionals who really make sure that the machine keeps going. And even though 2013, next year, will actually mark the 75th year of operations of the Landmark Society, you're going to be noticing next year that these initiatives will carry over, that our anniversary initiatives are going to carry over. You'll see next year an increased commitment to preserving our heritage through our current services and by adding new services. This year in particular has proven to be quite successful. And I want to run through a list of some of the achievements for this year. Then I'll give a brief token of appreciation, and we can move on with the program and the party. That's right. While finances remain challenging, this past year we were operating on a balanced budget, and we're following a controlled and disciplined fiscal approach. Our contributions are up, membership is slowly rising, and our levels of membership are increasing. Our grant revenue is drastically improved. And this upswing represents your trust and your confidence in our organization, and I want to thank you for that. Your support is literally critical to how we move forward and how we literally exist. Our visibility in the community is broadening. Our stakeholders are more diverse. Our direct involvement in preservation projects has tripled over 2 years. Our Preservation Grant Fund, created through a generous planned gift from Libby Stewart, has been developed and launched with 3 applications already being funded to support preservation projects that are taking place right now. Our program saw attendance figures this year they had not witnessed in over a decade, with our Walk the Walk program in particular breaking an all-time attendance record. We conducted energy workshops, real estate workshops, and local preservation commission workshops. We hosted our annual preservation conference in Rochester, and this year it will be in Brockport. We've offered scores of community presentations all over Western New York and almost an equal number of tours to showcase our communities. We assisted the city of Rochester with local real estate developers, with tax credit rehab projects to instigate preservation, to save our heritage, create jobs, elevate tax revenues, and boost our economies. We gave hundreds of school children tours of the oldest remaining structure in Monroe County, the Stone Tolan House, which we all collectively own. We partnered with NeighborWorks Rochester to launch a loan program for homeowners in Rochester's preservation districts. We've improved our magazine. I hope you agree that it's an improved magazine, Landmark. We now offer more articles, there's more topics of interest, and a much more focused approach to preservation and heritage issues, and we have a couple more ideas in the pipeline. We evaluated numerous projects across Western New York, and we gave the best of the best awards at our annual awards ceremony. We've launched a desperately needed new website. And right after it was launched, it won, or was nominated for an award from the Rochester Business Journal. So, and thanks to Bill Cleansmith, I saw him wandering around, who worked on that tirelessly. Good job, Bill. I mean, you had a month to work on it. I don't know what you were complaining about. We're successful also in upgrading our advocacy, with some failure, but also with some success. We were unable to develop a workable solution to save the Cataract Brewery building. However, we were successful in calling a halt or a timeout to some proposed language in Rochester's preservation districts that would really have weakened preservation. And we did this, by the way, with the cooperation of city officials. We're now calling for a greater evaluation of a current Presbyterian church located in the Susan B. Anthony neighborhood, and we join and support our local neighborhood association in questioning the benefit of demolishing that irreplaceable building. Our relationship with the city of Rochester is solid. We don't always agree with the city of Rochester, but we both agree to be respectful, walk away smiling, and also promise to work together in the future. We've reached out to many local governments outside of the Rochester metro area, as far away as Allegheny County, where I was just on Friday. We broke the ground for Holy Rosary Apartments, which is an incredible investment that will also save an incredible building. We planned and are now relaunching our travel tours program. We enjoy viewing incredible historic properties at this year's House and Garden Tour and our Inside Downtown Tour. For the first time, partnering with Rochester Young Professionals, and Steve Oates here at some point. So thanks, Steve, and Rochester Young Professionals for that. We've made countless technical assistance calls this year, appearing on-site, answering questions about how to best maintain and preserve historic properties. We've added a new position. Larry Francer joins us as the Associate Director of Preservation Services. We were honored to participate in the restoration of Frank Lloyd Wright's Boynton House on East Boulevard in Rochester. We preserved and conserved the original furniture and made sure that the furniture is sitting exactly where it was intended to, where Mr. Wright designed it to be, and that's right inside the house. This year we fought more, we planned more, we helped more, we launched more, and consulted more than we've done in a really, really long time. And by doing so, we've benefited our community in multiple ways, and improved and enriched the lives of current and future residents of our beautiful corner of New York. We also began and started initial implementation of several new initiatives to move us forward. Our Preservation Through the Portal, an online educational tool, is taking off. African American Landmarks Task Force, and our 75th anniversary fundraising campaign, which will officially be launched next year. And for this campaign, we've already sought and reached out for some support with our closest associates. And some of them are here tonight. I want to thank those people who have already made that commitment to lead us in this campaign, which is extremely important. So as the rest of you hear about this campaign, and I promise you, you will hear about the campaign coming up next year, I want to let you know that every board member is pledged, as has each staff member, to participate. And I think that's incredibly, I think that says a lot about where we're headed as an organization. Before we launch that next year, we have this year's annual fund to think about. Please, I know time is tough. I know everyone hits you at the end of the year, but our annual fund this year is incredibly important, and when those mailings go out, I ask you to give as generously as you can. Anyone who believes that the Landmark Society of Western New York has made this section of New York a better place to live over the years really needs to think about participating in our campaigns. So before moving on for a special recognition, I want to send another thank you to everyone Today, we celebrate yesterday in our past, but we also reaffirm our resolve for tomorrow and the future. And we reaffirm our support for preservation and for the support of our beloved Landmark Society. Now I want to move on and give just a brief word and a special recognition before we move forward in the program. We can get back to the party, and I can hit the bar. On occasion, there's a preservation project that stands out among the rest. Out of all of the wonderful work that's done all across our city and our region, there's one that stands out. Just like City Hall did years ago, the Stone Tolan House, the Roycroft Inn, the Memorial Art Gallery, the White Potter House. And now we add to that list Frank Lloyd Wright's Boynton House. This project has been the source of documentaries this year, news segments, magazine articles, radio programs, editorials. The project has certainly claimed almost immediate national recognition and appeal. The owners, Frank Cosentino and Jane Parker, took an incredible house and saved it and gave it what it needed and made it better. However, by doing so, they gave the community what we needed. They saved one of our region's treasures, and indeed they've saved one of America's treasures, and they were incredibly gracious in doing so. And for me personally, it was great to be just a small part of the Boynton House project. And the Landmark Society helped. Gene France did a lot of work on the front end of this, but really the credit goes to Jane and to Fran. So as wonderful it was for me to witness life being breathed into that beautiful space, that project paled in comparison to just how gratifying and humbling it was, and how grateful I am to actually know Frank Cosentino and Jane Parker. They are true supporters of preservation and true supporters of our organization in so many ways, and I deeply, deeply appreciate it. So for that, I'd like to just simply give a special recognition to Jane and to Fran, the impressive project and their commitment to historic preservation in New York. Thanks.
Jane and I'd like to thank the Landmark Society, and Wayne, of course, and Mary, for their unwavering support throughout this challenge. And it was a challenge. Also, Peter Siemens. You can't hear me?
Okay.
One of the key people is Wayne mentioned, is the historian on this project. Gene France guided us down a road we had never been down before, and it was exciting. This woman is such an asset to this city and its properties. Today without you. Also without John Page of Barrow Architecture. Is John here today?
There he is.
Hey. Well, we thank John for his design and counsel. We worked together for 32 months, right, John? Also, Mark Baer for his landscape architecture and careful and tasteful site planning. WXXI for their diligence in the production of the one-hour documentary on the next 100 years, the Boynton House, which turned out to be a wonderful program. We're very proud of it. I hope that you've all gotten to see it. If not, I'm sure we'll be running it again. There are so many more people to thank. I'm not going to bother taking the time to do it tonight, but I want to tell you that there were 160 talented individuals who put their hands on that property in the 32 months that it took to complete. They've all signed in, and that board will become a permanent fixture in the Boynton House in the future. Finally, I want to thank my wife, Jane. I want to thank her for insisting that we must live in the Frank Lloyd Wright house. And, quote, no matter what it takes. And it took a lot, trust me. So we thank all of you as well. We all live in a wonderful city, and we're very, very happy to be here. Bye-bye.
Okay, at this time I'd like to ask Henry Williams to come up for the nominating report.